Hey guys, this is Dark Magician Gaming here and bringing you another deck profile for another one of my off-meta rogue decks that I like to run. This one again, just like the last one, with my future Altaria deck, this is not gonna be a meta-topping deck by any means, but it's just a fun deck that I like to play and I get some spicy plays with it. It's really fun to play once you get it set up and it's just a good deck overall to kind of play with. I will say though, with the prevalence of Blaziken right now, it's gonna be a deck that once you see Blaziken, you kind of gotta chalk it up. Like Blaziken is just gonna run through you in this deck. But other than that, it leads to some really good spicy plays and some really good bench sniping and stuff like that. So number one, we'll just go through the deck real quick. I run a 1/1 line for Froakie and Greninja, two Rowlets, a Dartrix, the non-EX Decidueye, just in case I need to deal with an Oricorio. With the prevalence of Miraidon and electric type decks, you're going to run into Oricorio, especially in ranked. This Decidueye really takes care of it for you. Decidueye EX, that's going to be my main hitter, right? That's going to be the one that's dealing the KOs, especially for the EXs and stuff like that. I have an Ogerpon in there. That's going to be for status. I mean, with this deck, using only grass type energy, I can swing with Ogerpon if I need to, but honestly, it's there to sit on the bench and prevent status. And then a Pheromosa, and the Pheromosa is really just to start off and be my lead hitter, dealing, decent damage to the bench and to the active. So, but yeah, so that's the Mon. I have a X-Speed, two Rare Candy, a Leaf Cape, two Professor's Research, two Copycat, a Juliana, which I'll get to here in a second, and then two Fragrant Forests. So to start off, we'll just kind of go over, why this deck kind of looks a little bit different from other types of decks. Number one, you don't see any Pokeballs in this deck, and that's because our main Mons are going to be the Rowlets, the Pheromosa, and the Ogerpon, and I'm pulling those with Fragrant Forest, right? I'm dropping Fragrant Forest down, playing that stadium, and every turn I'm drawing a Grass-type basic out of my deck, free of charge. No Pokeball, nothing, right? So that's just really good plays overall. The double Copycat and double Research are going to help me pull the Froakie if I need to, and they're going to help me cycle through my deck really quick. And then Juliana is just, I won't say it's like a amazing meta-changing card, but what I will say is that it is definitely a card that helps with some of the inconsistency that running two stage 2s can have. This just kind of helps me guarantee that I need, like, if I have three stage 2s in this deck, I have a non-EX Decidueye, the EX Decidueye, and then the Greninja, obviously. And if I need one of those, right, and let's say I already have one or two in my hand, which more than likely, getting halfway through a game with double Copycat, double Research, and Fragrant Forest, I'm gonna pull at least one of those three, stage 2s. I'm basically guaranteeing myself the other one that I may need. And it's just an overall fun card to run in this deck to help with consistency. I've seen it kind of compared a lot to Serena, which, Serena helps you pull any Mega that you want from your deck into your hand. And to be honest, Serena didn't see much play except for probably in Kangaskhan decks, just because it was a niche card to play. And I mean, Juliana's the same. It's a niche card, and it's not going to see much play other than, in stage 2 decks like this, or possibly the Blaziken Greninja deck variant that you've been running into or probably have tried to play. But yeah, no, Juliana is just a really good way to help with some of the inconsistencies that this deck has running two stage 2s. Like, you run two stage 2s. I mean, honestly, if you run one stage 2, you're going to have some inconsistency. So, it's just overall a good card to have in the deck. But and you'll notice too, because I'll have some gameplay uploaded with this, but this card is, or excuse me, this deck is just a really fun deck to kind of get some spicy bench snipes with. You're not going to be swinging for a lot of damage with this deck. Like, your goal is not to be like Mega Lucario and swing for 190 with Arena of Antiquity and with Karina on. You're not going to be swinging for 180 with like 10 energies or whatever you have on it from Miraidon, right? Or 8 energies or whatever you have on it from Miraidon. You're not going to be doing crazy high levels of damage, but what you are going to be doing is you're going to lead off hopefully with either Pheromosa or Rowlet. You're going to be attacking the bench and attacking their active Mon, right? Dealing some decent damage onto it, right? And then from that point on, once you've kind of established and spread out damage equally across the board for your opponent, whether it's their active or their bench, Then you can evolve into your Decidueye, whether it's the EX or non-EX one, and then also have your benched Greninja in the back. And the reason why that is let's say you're up 2-1, or honestly you could be tied 2-2, right? You have 2 prize points, they have 2 prize points, and all you have left is a Decidueye on the active and Greninja on the bench, and they have a full HP Mega Sceptile in the active, but they left a Trico in the back. I can snipe the Trico with my Greninja and then finish the game with my Decidueye, right? And then having an Ogerpon on the bench helps me not have to worry about the poison from Mega Sceptile, or even the burn damage from Mega Blaziken, which is going to be the biggest counter to this deck. Is 100% going to be any type of fire type deck, Blaziken or even Charizard to that extent. The classic Charizard deck that's been running recently with that Mega Shine, Charmeleon, Entei, and Charizard Y, if they can get Charizard Y online, or honestly even put a decent amount of energy on Entei, it's going to be hard to beat that deck. With Blaziken in cast form, Sunny form, cast form, it's going to be really hard to beat that deck if they get cast form set up quickly, because it's basically going to be one-shotting Rowlet. It's going to be destroying your Froakie, Ogerpon is just going to turn into an easy 2-point, snipe for them with Cyrus if they hit it and then I move it to my bench. But besides the fire type decks, like this has a pretty good play into any dark type decks, especially decks like Zoro. Like if you play Zoroark, if you're playing against Zoroark, you can get some cheeky snipes off on the bench. Like Zoroark is going to be putting Pokemon on the bench. Premium targets to bench snipe with this deck. Miraidon, again, they're going to be loading the bench. You can snipe the Oricorio, you can snipe their Magnetons, you can snipe a Zero Aura if they run Zero Aura in their deck, What else? Let's see, Mega Lucario. They're going to be loading up their bench. A sleep deck, as long as you have Ogerpon on your bench, they're not going to be able to do anything with their Darkrai, so you can target their Darkrai's and snipe those out of the way and get some easy wins. You can take out a Swablu before it turns into an Altaria. There's so many plays that you can run with this deck, and it's just overall just a really fun deck to play. And you'll see that in the gameplay that I have over this voiceover, and then continue on for the rest of the video. But I just thought I'd bring it to y'all. I kind of took that Blaziken Greninja engine that was really, really popular, that really just became popular the last week, and I've kind of reformed it to play with Decidueye, because just to be honest, ever since Decidueye came out, it's been one of my favorite Pokemon. And I've in every format I've kind of made a way to play one way or another, Greninja, Decidueye, and it's just a fun deck. I kind of struggle to play some of those meta decks, and it's just a personal thing. I understand, like Suicune Excalibur, very popular meta deck when it first came out with Chien-Pao and stuff like that. And even that deck is going to be sniping bench a lot too with Chien-Pao, right? And you're going to be ramping it with Baxcalibur, and you have Suicune to lead, so you can draw your hand, and you keep drawing your deck out, and you'll be decked out by the time it's 6 turns in. But they leave themselves open for a lot of bench snipes with having 2 Baxcalibur on the bench, having Chien-Pao on the bench, and it helps a lot that with this deck, and it's the success rate for this deck, that a lot of decks in this meta are loading the bench. It really helps a lot. Again, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage in one swing. This is a deck that is kind of like a set up early, and you kind of nibble and poke at your opponent for the first 3 or 4 turns, and you kind of set up your snipe targets, and then you wait to get that Greninja online. The Greninja, to get the Decidueye online, and then you're just picking those targets off one by one. The enemy to this kind of deck is that if they can get a big swinging Pokemon, like something that's hitting for anything over 140, 150, really quickly, it's kind of just game from there. Like they're going to be able to one-shot you for the most part. If you're leading with a non-EX Decidueye, like that's within the 140 threshold, like that's getting one shot. Greninja's getting one shot. Decidueye, if you have a cape on it, has 200, so it's basically almost like a Mega. But it's 2-shotting. If you're running into a Blaziken Greninja deck, or you're running into a Charizard deck, it's kind of a wrap with it. So And you'll see, I have some fun kind of like spicy gameplays that you'll see on top of this video, and then, you know, finish off the video. But, you know, I guess I kind of hope you guys enjoy the content I try to bring. I know right now a lot of people are bringing in like the meta deck every week. It's a meta update, you know, what's winning tournaments, what's doing this, what's doing that. And, you know, if that's how you want to play the game and you want to keep consistent with, you know, the most meta relevant games the most meta relevant decks that there are, and that's how you enjoy playing the game, be my guest. You know, that's fine. I mean, you're not gonna get any shade from me. I run some meta relevant decks too. It's not gonna, like, especially when rank comes out, I'll probably run a meta relevant deck. Not a problem. But my thing about this game is I love that I can build my deck however I want, and I can win with decks. Am I gonna have like a 50 or 60% win rate? No. But I'm gonna have some fun playing the deck, and it's fun for me to build these decks and kind of like test them out, see what works, see what doesn't work, and also put a spotlight on some cards that, or some Pokemon or trainers or whatever, that really don't get to see that kind of play. You know, like it's just fun for me to be able to play those kind of decks and make them work. So if you guys enjoy that kind of content, you know, I would love if you guys, you know, keep watching my vids. Again, if you have any kind of recommendations, comments, or concerns or anything, any kind of decks you want me to try out, anything else like that, please drop in the comments below. You know, please like, share, comments, and subscribe. Hopefully you do. If not, I understand. The Pokemon Pocket's kind of become a little bit saturated with the amount of content creators there are, and there's a lot of great ones, you know. So I kind of understand that, but, you know, without further ado, I'll let the rest of my gameplay speak for itself, and you guys have a great day. Enjoy. Peace.